Hi there, welcome back to another update on Hcmc. As promised, we are having a look at the company's fundamentals tonight. We've done this many a time in the past. We're doing it in some deep detail tonight because obviously next week we have the date of the 16th. It is significant for the stock. If you don't already know why, we're going to be discussing that in just a moment as well. But yeah, I just want to make sure that you guys are as up to date and as well informed as possible leading into the next week. So we've got a lot of good stuff coming up for Hcmc on this channel. Today we obviously have this in-depth review and look at it. Tomorrow we are giving a bit of a price forecast. Going into Monday and Tuesday we're doing two separate videos on each of the day. One is going to be talking about why Hcmc might be the perfect buy this week. The other is talking about why you might want to avoid Hcmc. Again, these are basically giving an equal, pretty level view for Hcmc, just so you can be aware of the good parts of the business and the bad parts of the business. All of that is coming next week. Then we give it a bit of a forecast again, looking into the the next week, the few days, because we do have the 16th coming up. So yeah, all of that is coming up in the next week. If you haven't already, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to this channel, because as you can tell, we're covering Hcmc a lot both today and going forwards into the future. So again, today we're looking at the more fundamental side of the business. You may already know about this, and if you do already know about the fundamentals, that is fine. If that is the case, perhaps don't watch this one and do join us again tomorrow. So of course, I don't want to waste any of your time. If you don't need to be here, you don't have to watch this one. But yeah, we are going to start off by looking at how the stock has been moving over the past week to provide a little bit of context. Well, if you look over here on the simple Yahoo Finance charts, what we can see is that the stock has actually been what we call barcoding for the past few days, and actually this has been quite consistent. So Friday, barcoding all the way along, you can see. Going into the past 5 days, we can see a similar pattern. It actually did drop by a small amount, but the pattern is still similar. It's still that barcode pattern. If you look at this one over the past month, we can actually see that the share price has consistently been dropping. We've seen a lot of barcoding action, but overall the stock has been going down. Now when we look over to the more technical charts, what we can see is that it does look to be the case that we may have found the bottom now at this current range of 0.001. I do hope that is the case. Hopefully it is. We'll just have to see going forwards, but I would love that to be the situation. But obviously we do have a lot coming up next week, which definitely could change the price of the stock. Well, if you don't already know, we do have a response from Philip Morris coming up next week. Now again, I know a lot of you guys are new to this Hcmc investing. Perhaps you don't know what is going on with the stock. Well, I'm going to be explaining it all starting right now. First things first, we have the stock called Hcmc, as you already know, and basically they are starting a lawsuit against this company called Philip Morris, which is big in the industry when it comes to vaping and tobacco and all that kind of stuff. Basically, it's in connection with their product known and marketed as IQOS. So this system is something which Hcmc apparently have the patent to, according to them, and if that is the case, this definitely could bring them in a lot of money. Now what this article does tell us is that so far Philip Morris, who are currently selling this product, have reached about 14 million users, and they actually have over $3 billion invested into their smokeless tobacco products. So we can see this is big money right here. Of course, this is a massive deal. A couple billion there for sure, potentially is on the table when looking at this product. So let me explain what this means if we are going forwards into a lawsuit. Well, here's the thing, guys. Obviously, it's basically a case of Hcmc are saying to Philip Morris, you are using our product and we want to get some money for that, hopefully. Now, if that is the case, they definitely could get a settlement. We're going to be talking more about this in the future. Or they could have to go all the way through for the court case, which could take quite a long time. And obviously, that could rule in their favour, or it might not rule in their favour. If it rules in their favour, they definitely could get a big payout from Philip Morris, and if it was to settle, again, they definitely could get a big payout. Now, if it doesn't go in their favour, we wouldn't see any of this money come to Hcmc, and you could argue that the whole lawsuit was kind of a waste of money. Overall, though, if you have had a look into the lawsuit, and I do recommend you do this by yourself, they are saying that this product does not heat up, from what I can tell. They're saying that it doesn't burn, and actually, Hcmc are saying actually it does burn, because we have found things which do show that it burns in tests that were run. So personally, from what I can tell about this lawsuit, I think that Hcmc do still have a lot of strength on their side when looking at this. Another thing which I think is big for Hcmc is a law firm which is representing them is called Cozen O'Connor. And obviously, if we do have a quick Google search for Cozen O'Connor and have a look at their ranking, we can see they're number 67, ranked of all US law firms. And I think that is a big deal. It's clearly quite a well-established, it's a good law firm basically. And for Hcmc to have them on their side, it is a good deal. So what I'm trying to say here is that we have a strong law team, we have potentially a strong lawsuit, and again, I would recommend that you do your own research so that you are aware of what is going on with the lawsuit and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I definitely do believe that this is a strong situation. As you guys may or may not know, because I have discussed it previously, I do own about 1 million shares of Hcmc. I'm waiting on an order of 500,000 shares now, and it still hasn't gone through since Thursday of this week. So yeah, we are still waiting for that one to go through, but I am looking to own about 1.5 to 1.7 million in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Hopefully, again, if that one does go through, hopefully sooner than later. So yeah, that's my personal position. I just thought I would disclose that before we go any further. But yeah, we can see that obviously they have a very strong law team behind them. So what is the big deal going forwards into next week? Why is everybody talking about Hcmc at the moment? Well, as I have mentioned, this lawsuit is something which is currently ongoing, kind of, in a way. I mean, yes, this could be a lengthy process, and we could only be looking at the start of this one, but what we have noticed in the past few months is that we are still waiting on Philip Morris to basically give a deadline to respond their reply, and of course this is coming out on the 16th of this month. So we have spoken about this before in previous episodes. Again, I'm not going to waste too much time about it. We're just waiting to see what Philip Morris says about this lawsuit to sum things up very simply. And again, I am not a lawyer. There are proper lawyers on YouTube who do explain this in much detail, so go and give them a watch. But yeah, obviously 16th of April is a big deal because we are waiting to see what Philip Morris say. Now, in more recent weeks, we have actually had this important, or at least interesting piece of information. This came out back on April Fool's Day, April the 1st. So what we saw is that we had a motion to stay for 30 days from that day, and that is interesting actually. So people have been speaking about this consistently, saying that this motion to stay means that they could be working together on a settlement potentially. I've spoken about this. I think that absolutely could be the case. I think it would be lovely if it was the case. Again, I want to see Hcmc rock it, don't get me wrong. I would love to see that happen. But for people who are saying this is definitely going to be settled soon, I would not count on it. I do want it to happen, but don't get your hopes up too much because it is not guaranteed. But yeah, we do have a motion to stay for 30 days. There are benefits to this and there are drawbacks. So if we're looking at why they may want to stay for 30 days, obviously some of the reasons could be A, they are working on something together, B, it is quite expensive to have the law teams working on this constantly, so they may just want to put it off for a while. C, they could be working on getting their case a little bit stronger, and we can see that overall this is a joint motion to stay, so this is really interesting. Basically both sides have actually agreed to this, saying that they just want to stay for a little bit for 30 days to see what does happen. So again, this 30 days could bring a lot of good stuff. We are basically waiting till the 16th to see what Philip Morris is saying. Again, a lot of people do think this one is going to get settled on the 16th. I am not going to be that optimistic. I'm really not. I would love to be. I hope it is the case. It absolutely could be the case, but I personally don't think it is. And don't get me wrong, if it is the case, there'll be nobody that is more happy than me. But I just wouldn't get too optimistic about that being settled as soon as, the 16th. It is possible it could happen in the next few weeks, months, and potentially even years. But again, it will probably take time. But hopefully we can get this one settled as soon as possible. But that is what is going on with the lawsuit. We have a product which Hcmc apparently have the patent to, and if that is the case, if they are to win this one, it would give them a ton of money. Obviously the market cap for Hcmc is quite small now, so giving them about 1, 2 or 3 billion, potentially even more than that, would give them a massive deal and a massive boost to their business. And we're going to be speaking about why this is important again in a moment. Right, so one other thing which I do believe is very important is the amount of short interest for Hcmc. So short volume ratio for the most recent date on here, we can see this was the 30th of the 3rd, so again not too long ago, but this is the most recent date, and we can see that the short volume ratio was 247%, so that is a large number. It's a very large number. People are now talking about a short squeeze with Hcmc. Personally guys, I'm not saying it's impossible, because you know what? After this year, we've seen Tesla rocket, we've seen GameStop, we've obviously seen AMC. I am not going to say that anything is unachievable, but personally, again, I would not have my eyes on a short squeeze. I would love for it to happen, but I'm just not sure if it is going to be the case. But yeah, overall, the short volume is high, so obviously a lot of people shorting this one. The short volume right now is 1.2 billion. That's a large number. Obviously, the amount of shares for this company is about 300 billion. So again, 1.2 billion isn't that large in relation to the overall amount of shares, but it is still a large number. So there you go. And I think it does make sense that people are shorting this stock. You know, if these shorts would have gotten at a higher price and perhaps sold out now, or at least held until now, they'd have probably made a lot of money in that time frame. So if that is what they want to do, absolutely fine. Personally, I think this one is going to go in the favour of people who aren't shorting this one, people who are holding this one. I think they are going to potentially reap the long-term benefits of this. So again, short term, they might be making some money off those shorts, but I think long term, we are seeing a lot of potential for Hcmc to continue to rise and hopefully squeeze out those shorts long term. Again, if we even want to talk about a short squeeze, we're going to need to be seeing a lot more volume of this, because right now, volume that we were seeing in the last week, it was very good, it was very high. Coming on to Friday, volume of about 3 billion, but obviously in relation to the amount of shares that we have, which is over 300 billion, you know, it isn't that significant. But there you go, that is the amount of short interest, if you were wondering. Right, so now let's move on to the actual company's business model. So to sum things up simply, if you don't already know, the company has 3 different areas which they wish to specialise in. The first one was recently added to their website about a month or 2 ago. This is called the Intellectual Property Holdings of Hcmc. And this is a subsidiary which focuses on their intellectual property. Basically, it focuses on their patents, their trademarks, and other intellectual property of Hcmc, and it will be utilised in the company's attempt to monetize its intellectual property. So a list of patents can be found here. If you have had a look at their patents, I think some of these are really cool. Obviously, we're currently talking about the one which is being used against Philip Morris, but you know what, I definitely would give it a look at their patents. Some of them, they have some really cool technology for vaping especially. I think going forwards, vaping is going to be a big industry, and you know what, Hcmc is a small company right now, but who knows, with these patents, perhaps they could continue to grow at a massive rate, hopefully. So let's now have a look at their second segment, which is called the Healthier Choice Markets, or the Healthy Choice Markets. We can see this is local, organic, and fresh food. This is called ADA's Natural Market, and they apparently have 3 stores in Fort Myers, Florida. So they have 1 in Fort Myers, Florida, and an additional 3 in Paradise Health and nutrition locations in the greater Melbourne area of Florida. So about 4 stores that we can see here. I think this is a big deal again. Only 4 stores, yes, it's not a lot. It's just a few grocery stores at the end of the day. But let's face it, these days people do like healthier choices. Organic food is big, fresh food is big, and even local produce, people do like this as well. So I can see this as being a very good market going forwards. There's a lot of potential there if they were to spread this outside of the whole country. And of course, when I say the country, this is the United States. So again, if they were to keep expanding this part of the business, that could do well for them. Now, what I think is going to be the most lucrative part of Hcmc, at least for the next few years, is their vape stores. So they apparently now have 8 vape stores across the southeastern United States. And the vape store has a clear foothold in the still ever-growing e-cigarette and vaping markets. So again, this is important. They have a still hold and a clear foot in the ever-growing markets. That is fantastic. Again, we already know that vaping is a growing market. You know, it is considered to be a more healthy choice than directly smoking. So this is good. And again, with the patents that they have, this really could work out for them going forwards. So I think these are main areas which I am personally interested in, especially the vape store, because I think we are going to be seeing good things for this potentially. I think if any part of the business does have that potential to explode, it would be the vape store. On top of this, we actually did have Hcmc recently relaunching their vitamin store. So if we do have a quick look down here, they have relaunched that vitamin store. It's a store for vitamins and supplements. It's an online store and it can be found at thevitaminstore.com. This is a bit more of a smart move in my opinion, as vitamins and supplements are kind of more needed, or at least more used, than perhaps vape products or even healthier choice supermarkets. In the sense that yes, vaping, big industry, don't get me wrong, massive massive industry. People spend a lot of money on it, but it does make sense for them to expand into another healthy market because, vitamins is something which a lot more people use than vaping, if you understand what I'm saying, because in a way, vaping is specialized for people who vape or smoke already, whereas obviously vitamins, anybody can take them and they don't necessarily have detrimental side effects. So that is potentially a good thing going forwards. I think that is a healthy choice, from their business standpoint, and a wise decision for them to expand into this market. So that is a more recent thing. I've heard a lot of people on the forums, whether it's Yahoo Finance or StockTwits, a lot of people talking about them buying vitamins from Hcmc. I think this is going to help them going forwards on their revenue for perhaps this quarter, next quarter, and 2021. So that's going to get revenue up, hopefully, and going forwards, better revenue obviously could attract more investors, and on top of that, better revenue will help them to expand the company. Well, how do I know they want to expand the company? Well, this is easy to find out, guys. If we just want to have a quick look down here at their business model, we can see business strategy. It contains 4 different things. So, Healthier Choice Management Corp's business strategy includes and is not limited to continuing to 1. Attempt to expand upon their monetized patent suite. So again, this is what we have seen with the Philip Morris case. Obviously, they're trying to monetize their patents. So that is really something that they are currently working on in process right now. So that is fantastic. The second part is to operate and potentially even expand upon its 4 health, food and vitamin stores. So we've seen a bit of an expansion in that vitamin store with this relaunching of the actual vitamin and supplement store up here. So that is kind of a step in the right direction. So far we are seeing 1 and 2 of these things currently be in progress, in my opinion. We've seen these actually working as they have obviously expanded that vitamin store. So again, as I have said earlier in this video, I do think that them expanding their stores, having more stores on the ground, across the United States, will be a really smart move for them. So hopefully we can see that going forwards. The third part of their business is to operate and potentially expand upon its 8 retail vape stores. So I think this is a good decision as well. Vape stores, I think this is where their main money is going to come from, especially with the cool patents that they do currently have. So yeah, I think this could be a big deal going forwards if they are to expand on this, which they definitely could after the lawsuit. I'm going to speak about that more in a second. The fourth one that we have down here is to seek out new attractive business lines with its mission of healthier choices to add to its portfolio. Right, so let's decipher what this means. Basically, it looks like they're trying to collaborate with other businesses. I do believe that is the case. Again, I could be wrong on saying that, but that is what I can decipher from that. That is what it sounds like to me. They are obviously trying to work on expanding the business, hopefully going forwards. And right now, that is a bit of an issue. But the main thing which we are focusing on right now is that if they are to win the lawsuit, if it's 1 billion, if it's 2 billion, even if it's 500 million, for example, which it probably will be more than, if it's 500 million, that will be a large amount of money for Hcmc. Hopefully we can get more stores opened, and hopefully we can get more marketing online and that kind of stuff, which again could help to expand revenue long term. And that is why a lot of people are focusing on this lawsuit. It will bring in a massive amount of money for Hcmc if they are to win it. Again, if they are to lose it, it could have detrimental effects, which we'll speak about in just a moment as well. But yeah, if they are to win this one, it could be a massive deal for them, helping them to expand their business massively, and obviously taking them steps forward a lot quicker than they could have done otherwise. So again, let's look at the last thing before I talk about what could happen if they are to win or lose the lawsuit. So we're going to start off by looking at the outstanding shares. So outstanding shares for Hcmc is currently sat at 307.7 billion. Right, so first things first, I know you're going to say it already, that's a large number. We've heard this time and time again. We know it's a large number, it's a massive number. Is it too many shares? Yes, of course it's too many shares, way too many shares. But here's the thing, this is why people are so optimistic about Hcmc. They think that if we are to win the lawsuit, potentially we could be looking at a buyback of shares. And I think one thing that further does add to the potential of this is that only a few days ago, when we actually did have an update of this information, which was back on the 7th of this month, so literally just a few days ago, what we found out is that the amount of outstanding shares had gone down from about 309 billion all the way down to about 307 billion. So it was about a 1.7 billion decrease in outstanding shares. Is it anything? Is it a large number? Not really. Is it a step in the right direction? Absolutely. Does it show that the company is potentially working in the interest of shareholders? Yes, I do believe it does. So again, the fact that they did this, reducing the amount of shares, even though it was by a small amount, it was a step in the right direction. And if anything, even though it is not confirmed, I think this does, in my eyes at least, point to the potential that the company could be willing to buy back shares. We've spoken about this before, guys. If they are to win the lawsuit, if it's to be 1 billion, perhaps even more than that, it would only cost like a quarter of that, if not less, to buy back the majority of shares. So it obviously wouldn't be that expensive, and people are currently conspiracy theories, or at least people are kind of making up a conspiracy theory, if you will, because I'm not going to call it real because I'm just unable to confirm whether this is a case, but people are conspiring that perhaps they could be keeping the price low because they're looking to buy back shares at a discounted price. Again, I'm not going to say that's true because we just don't know that is the case, but there we go. People think they're trying to keep it low to buy back. Personally, I'm not sure if that's the case, as I have mentioned, but I think if the price does remain pretty low, I don't see any reason why the company couldn't do a buyback of a small amount of shares. And of course, if they were to reduce the amount of shares by half, that would be a step in the right direction. Perhaps more than that would be fantastic. You know what, even if they were to leave a bit of room in the amount of shares, obviously more retail investors could potentially pick this one up. Perhaps institutions could pick that one up. So we don't even need to buy back all of the shares or even the majority of the shares to see this one start to increase. Right, so let's move on to the last part of the video. What will happen if they win the lawsuit, and what will happen if they lose the lawsuit? So again, this is coming out more on Monday and Tuesday in a bit more depth, but let's sum this up very quickly. If they win the lawsuit, I think great things are going to happen for Hcmc. I think this is going to happen in two waves. I think if we have some news, some confirmation of either a settlement or even a direct win for the lawsuit, it's going to be great. I think it is going to send the share price flying. We saw earlier this year that with a bit of hype around the lawsuit alone, the share price went from, a price of about 0.00001, I do believe it was, all the way up to this price of about 0.0006. So again, that was a massive increase in just a few weeks over this small news about a lawsuit even taking place. And I think, guys, looking at that, we just need to ask ourselves, what would happen if they actually did win this lawsuit? Where would that send the share price going forwards? I think it would send this one past the current range that we have been seeing previously, and perhaps even higher, up to about the 7s, that is the 0.007s, and perhaps even higher than that, even up to the 0.01 range, which could put us at the low side of 1 cent. Now, if we were to reach 1 cent, I think a lot of people would take profits immediately, as that would be the case. People find a level where they're comfortable. I think that could send the share price plummeting down once more. I think after that, it will start to build up slowly and surely, and then we'll see the real growth if they are to win the lawsuit. And again, it's all fine talking about if they are to win it. Let's talk about if they are to lose it. Well, if we have news and somehow that they have lost this lawsuit, I think we definitely could see the share price decrease to the triple zeros. So I think we definitely could hit lows past 0.0006, perhaps even half of the share price right now. And again, that is if they do lose this one. So that could be bad news going forwards. Again, if this one does take ages to play out, which it absolutely could, I can see this one dip into the triple zeros as well. So hopefully we do get that news soon, so we can see this, so we can see the share price continue to rise upwards, because there is nothing that we would all love to see more. So what I'm trying to say in this video, guys, Hcmc is a penny stock. It's an OTC market stock as well. It's a risky stock. It was always going to be risky, and it is still risky now. Personally, if you have shares, I would not sell them. I personally am not selling my shares, obviously. I am buying more. You know what? I'm going to get about 1.5 to 1.7 million shares. I'm just going to hold it long term. If it goes to the ground, that is fine by me, because I only put in what I'm willing to lose. I recommend that you guys should do the same. If you're going to be putting money into Hcmc at all, I wouldn't put in more than you're willing to lose, because there is an absolute chance, it's an absolute chance, that the share price could fall to the ground. Again, if it is to fall to the ground, that would be detrimental and disappointing, but if it actually goes in their favour, if they do win the lawsuit, we definitely could see the share price rocket and fly. And this is why I think it's important to do your own research. Find out where you're comfortable with Hcmc. What are your price targets, what is your risk to reward ratio, and how much are you willing to put on the table? So again, do your own research, find out this information for yourself, and just make your own decisions on the stock. So thank you for watching this video. I'll see you all very soon tomorrow for another update. Goodbye until then.